What's up, everybody? Welcome back to At Home and Farm with Doughty, your go-to place for all authentic content on homesteading and homemaking, and more specifically, poultry farming. Today, guys, I'm not very happy, but whatever I have to tell you, whatever lesson I have for you today is going to help somebody who is going to be caught in the same situation maybe tomorrow, not to lose their birds the way I have lost my birds. And so, those of you who've been watching my channel know that I took about 160 chicks, but guess what, guys? Right now I have about 140. I've lost 20 to a disease that I'm going to mention in a few, but that is not the point. The point is this video is for you. You need to know what this is and you need to protect yourself and also protect your birds from this disease. It is deadly. It has cost me a lot, but I'm here still moving on because this is my life, guys. So welcome to my channel. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for stopping, for clicking on this video. If this is your first time on my channel, consider to subscribe, leave a comment, like this video, share it with your friends, and let us get to know more about this. And I'm so excited because you stopped by. Let's see what this lesson for today has for us. And as always, I love you all and let's get to it. So, from the introduction, I have mentioned that I am going to highlight a disease that is very common with chicken most of the time. So welcome to this vlog, and the disease we wanted to talk about today is coccidiosis, a disease that is caused by the birds or the chicken ingesting fecal droppings or basically contaminated food, mostly from their own droppings, and which leads them to ingest it through the mouth, and therefore the parasites go in from the feces to their mouth and into their digestive system, therefore causing them to diarrhea and to also be dehydrated and weak, and thereafter they might die, what we call mortality. And it's very common with birds. What you need to do is just to make sure that you are able to know what causes it, the symptoms to look out for, how to identify it. If you understand these things, then it's much easier to treat it before it actually sweeps out your flock. And this is the disease we want to talk about today, and we'll be looking at what causes it, what you will look at to identify the disease, and how you can actually treat the disease. Uh, let's get to it and see how this disease affects our birds. A closer look at how some of the poop looks like. When you see poop that is like this, you will definitely suspect coccidiosis. And it took me time before I could realize that this is what was actually wiping out my birds. But now that I have known the symptoms and some of the things that I have to look out for, this is quite easy for you to notice. When you see the diarrhea in the poop and the droppings are not normal, then you can suspect first of all coccidiosis. You expect normal poop to look like this, some whitish and some grayish. But when you see something else like what I've just shown you, then you will know that your birds are actually infected, and therefore you need to take action immediately. And just like any other disease, there are those that once they're infected, they do infect others as well. So just make sure that you watch out for these first signs of coccidiosis, the poop and the droppings. Another common symptom for coccidiosis is reduced growth. So you will find that in a flock of maybe the same age of birds, some are a bit retarded in growth. So if you see a bird that is retarded in growth, for instance, these birds you're seeing here are about 9 to 10 weeks, but some of them are really showing reduced growth. And one of the symptoms to look out for is also lack of growth or reduced growth generally for birds that should be of the same age and all that. So if you see this reduced growth or retarded growth, then you can identify coccidiosis as one of the suspect diseases among your flock. Someone may ask, or you could be asking the question of, what really causes coccidiosis, and I'm going to give you 5 causes of coccidiosis. There are none, however, there could be other factors, but these are the main ones, okay, that cause the disease. And the first one is overcrowding. Now, overcrowding means you have put your birds in a smaller space than is required. The birds are many in number, but your space is not adequate. And therefore, which means once they have the droppings, the space is not very adequate for movement, their food becomes contaminated in the process. So overcrowding is one of the reasons why your birds could be highly infected with coccidiosis. And this happens most of the time when there is a carrier in the group. If there is a bird that has been affected or infected with coccidiosis, therefore, if there's overcrowding, then it makes the situation worse. Another reason why your birds could be getting the disease is contaminated food and water. So make sure your feeders are raised above the ground so that when the thistle drops they don't go into the food or into the water, because the thistle droplets are the ones that are actually the main causes of coccidiosis. Another thing that causes the disease is apart from contaminated food and overcrowding, of course, there is poor hygiene. You need to make sure that your drinkers are clean, your feeders are clean. If there is a drop of poop on them or droppings, you clean them thoroughly before you actually give the birds some food. All right. Another issue that you also need to look at is, apart from hygiene, apart from the contamination in the food, others being carriers and overcrowding, and others could be carriers. Okay, if there's movement from one coup to the other, it carries the disease just like we carry normal diseases, and you take and infect other birds. So it is parasitic in nature, therefore it can move very fast, and therefore when it is ingested, it goes into the digestive system, and it causes the diarrhea that we have looked about. It causes the dehydration, the paleness, weakness, and the lethargical, whatever, even depression. You can actually see a bird that is not healthy. It is usually looking very weak and a bit depressed and not active. They also lose appetite in the process, and those are things that are really common with coccidiosis. Lastly, you need to ensure that your coop or your area for the birds where they stay, sleep, eat, and feed is absolutely dry. We have overemphasized this in our previous videos, and this particular video, I cannot overemphasize the fact that you need to keep your coop dry. For us, what we do, we use wood shavings and straw, what they call normally locally, they call it sawdust. That is the most common name. You can keep layering your the bedding, to ensure there's no dampness. Once it is damp, it means the birds will be, trying to forage on that ground, picking all the dirt, and all the thistle droppings are also there. Therefore, it will make sure that your birds are actually ingesting these, which is very, very dangerous. So ensuring that the coop is dry is one of the ways you can actually avoid the dampness, because the dampness as well causes bad smell, which also leads to other respiratory diseases. So it's a roller coaster of diseases. If you are not careful, it can lead from one disease to the other, and therefore can wipe out all your flock. Just make sure that you have taken charge of all these things. Poor hygiene, clean food and water, not overcrowded spaces, make sure that the place is also dry. All right, those are things that you really need to consider while you are trying to avoid coccidiosis. The effect of this or lack of it is extremely high mortality. Most times coccidiosis wipes out the birds very, very fast. So you need to get treatment for the carriers or treatment for the infected birds. Isolate them immediately once you have realized that some birds are a bit weak, showing symptoms that we have said. Make sure you have a place to isolate them so that you can prevent further infections on your flock. Well, after highlighting this disease in detail, what causes it and how you can prevent it, I would like to give you a sample of what we have actually used in the treatment of coccidiosis on our farm. And with me here is a product from the agrovet shop. In fact, it's good to consult those people in the veterinary shop, in the agrovet shop. Reason being, they give you information much more on what you need to do to prevent. And if you give them the scenario of your farm, they will actually advise you on what you can do to avoid future infections. So here is a Mediostat Plus. This is antibacterial and antiprotozoal. Okay, I think it's something that attacks both parasites and bacteria at the same time, so that it can actually go ahead and heal the digestive system that has been infected, and to cause, to resuscitate the intestinal system of the chicken, so that it can actually get well. It is treatable, but it is not very good when it is left for too long, because it has a record of high mortality. So it's good to prevent than to cure it. But when you get this label, then you can actually try these over-the-counter medications for your birds. And most of the time, what we do, we don't treat one that is sick. We treat the whole flock, because most of the time you'll find that either they are waiting to get the disease, or they're in the lineup to be becoming weak and all that. So we treat all of them for coverage and to cover all of them at the same time, and to ensure that even the carriers in the group actually are treated, and those which are healthy also can get prevention from the disease. Um, that is how we can treat coccidiosis. I am not sure I have left something important, but I hope this video has given you an insight on how you can actually avoid, what to look out for when you're suspecting coccidiosis, and the many things that you can do to avoid the spread and the infection of coccidiosis. I really appreciate that you clicked on this video. I hope to see you in the next one. If you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comment section. Let me know what you think and what you have learned in your own experience, and how we can help one another to avoid and to overcome this coccidiosis disease. So until next time, it's a wrap from me, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.